The American Civil War was the result of decades of simmering tensions between the northern and southern regions of the United States. The North, which had a more diversified economy based on industry and small-scale farming, opposed the expansion of slavery into the new Western territories. The South, which had an economy based on large-scale plantation agriculture that relied on the labor of enslaved black people, feared that the abolition of slavery would ruin their way of life. The North and the South also had different views on the role of the federal government and the rights of the states. The political crisis that led to the Civil War began with the passage of the Kansas-Nebraska Act in 1854, which allowed the settlers of the new territories to decide whether they would allow slavery or not. This sparked violent clashes between pro- and anti-slavery forces in Bleeding, Kansas, as well as the formation of the Republican Party, a new political entity that opposed the spread of slavery. The tension escalated with the Supreme Court's ruling in the Dred Scott case in 1857, which declared that black people were not citizens and that Congress had no power to regulate slavery in the territories. The election of Abraham Lincoln, a Republican, as president in 1860 was the final straw for many Southerners who believed that he would pursue an anti-slavery agenda that threatened their interests. 7 Southern states seceded from the Union and formed the Confederate States of America, a new nation that claimed the right to self-government and the protection of slavery. 4 more states joined them after the first shots of the war were fired at Fort Sumter, a federal fort in the harbor of Charleston, South Carolina, on April 12, 1861. The Civil War was the deadliest and most costly war ever fought on American soil, with an estimated 620,000 soldiers killed and millions more wounded or captured. The war was fought on multiple fronts, with the most significant battles occurring in the Eastern Theater, where the Confederate capital of Richmond, Virginia, was the main target of the Union Army, and the Western Theater, where the Union sought to gain control of the Mississippi River and split the Confederacy in two. Some of the most famous and bloody battles of the war include the first and second battles of Bull Run, the Battle of Antietam, the Battle of Gettysburg, the Battle of Shiloh, the Battle of Chancellorsville, the Battle of Chickamauga, the Battle of the Wilderness, the Siege of Vicksburg, the Battle of Atlanta, and the Battle of Appomattox Courthouse. The war was also marked by significant political and social changes, such as the issuance of the Emancipation Proclamation by President Lincoln in 1863, which declared that all enslaved people in the rebel states were free, and the passage of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments to the Constitution, which abolished slavery, granted citizenship and equal protection to black people, and gave black men the right to vote. The war also saw the emergence of new technologies and tactics, such as the use of ironclad ships, submarines, railroads, telegraphs, balloons, and trench warfare. The war also affected the lives of civilians, especially women, who had to take on new roles and responsibilities in the absence of men and faced hardships such as food shortages, inflation, disease, and violence. The Civil War ended with the surrender of the Confederate Army at Appomattox Courthouse on April 9, 1865, after a series of devastating defeats by the Union Army under the command of General Ulysses S. Grant. The war was followed by a period of Reconstruction, in which the federal government attempted to rebuild the South and protect the rights of the newly freed black people. However, the Reconstruction era also faced many challenges and controversies, such as the assassination of President Lincoln, the rise of white supremacist groups like the Ku Klux Klan, the enactment of discriminatory laws known as Black Codes and Jim Crow laws, and the disputed presidential election of 1876. The legacy of the Civil War is still evident today, as the nation continues to grapple with the issues of race, equality, and justice that the war brought to the forefront.